From translation, TLB, the Living Bible. This 87th day of the year. Today we are reading passages 1 Samuel 4 to 8. 1 Samuel chapter 4, verses 1 to 22. Meanwhile, the word of the Lord came to Samuel, and the Israelites moved out to fight against the Philistines, and camped near Ebenezer. The Philistines camped at Aphek. The Philistines attacked Israel, and after a fierce battle, Israel was defeated. 4,000 Israelite soldiers were killed in the battle. When the survivors returned to camp, the elders of Israel said, "Why did the Lord let the Philistines defeat us today? Let's bring the ark of the covenant of the Lord from Shiloh to save us from our enemies." So they sent messengers to Shiloh to bring the ark of the covenant of the Lord of hosts, who lives between the cherubim. Hophni and Phinehas, the sons of Eli, were there with the ark of God. When the ark of the covenant arrived in the Israelite camp, the people shouted so loudly that the ground shook. When the Philistines heard the shouting, they asked, "What's all that noise in the Hebrew camp?" They soon realized the ark of the Lord had arrived. The Philistines were terrified and said, "A god has come into their camp. Disaster has come to us. Nothing like this has ever happened before. Who can rescue us from these mighty gods? They are the same gods who destroyed the Egyptians with all those plagues in the wilderness. Be strong and fight like men, you Philistines. Don't become slaves to the Israelites as they were to you. Be brave and fight." So the Philistines attacked, and once again Israel was defeated. Every Israelite fled to his own tent. 30,000 Israelite foot soldiers were killed in the battle. The ark of God was captured, and Hophni and Phinehas, the two sons of Eli, were killed. A man from Benjamin ran from the battlefield that day. He tore his clothes and put dust on his head as he rushed to Shiloh to tell the news. When he arrived at Shiloh, Eli was sitting by the road, trembling with fear for the ark of God. When the man entered the city and announced the news, the whole town cried out in anguish. When Eli heard the noise of the people's weeping, he asked, "What's all that commotion about?" The messenger quickly came and told Eli what had happened. Eli was 98 years old, and his eyes were so dim that he couldn't see. The messenger said to Eli, "I am the man who escaped from the battlefield today." Eli asked, "What happened, my son?" The messenger replied, "Israel fled from the Philistines, and many were killed in the battle. Your two sons, Hophni and Phinehas, are dead, and the ark of God has been taken." When the messenger mentioned the ark of God, Eli fell backward off his chair by the city gate. He was old and heavy, and his neck broke and he died. Eli had judged Israel for 40 years. His daughter-in-law, the wife of Phinehas, was pregnant and about to give birth. When she heard that the ark of God had been captured and that her father-in-law and husband were dead, she went into labor and gave birth to a son. As she was dying, the women attending her said, "Don't be afraid, you have a son." But she didn't answer or pay any attention. She named the child Ichabod, saying, "The glory has departed from Israel," because the ark of God had been captured and because her father-in-law and husband were dead. She added, "The glory has departed from Israel," because the ark of God had been captured. 1 Samuel chapter 5, verses 1 to 12. After capturing the ark, the Philistines took it from Ebenezer to Ashdod. They took the ark of God to the temple of Dagon and placed it beside the statue of their god. The next morning, the people of Ashdod found Dagon lying face down before the ark of the Lord. They picked up the statue and put it back in its place. But the next morning, Dagon was again lying face down before the ark of the Lord, and this time both the statue's head and hands were broken off. Only the body remained intact. Ever since that day, the priests of Dagon and anyone who enters his temple in Ashdod never step on the threshold of Dagon's temple. But the Lord's hand was heavy on the people of Ashdod. He destroyed them and struck them with tumors, both those in the city and those in the surrounding countryside. When the leaders of Ashdod saw what was happening, they said, "We can't keep the ark of the God of Israel here. His hand is against us and against our god Dagon." So they sent messengers to gather all the Philistine rulers and said, "What should we do with the ark of the God of Israel?" They replied, "Send it to Gath." So they sent the ark of the God of Israel to Gath. But as soon as they had taken the ark there, the Lord's hand was against the city with great force. He struck the people of Gath with tumors, both small and great. So the leaders of Gath sent the ark to Ekron. But when it arrived in Ekron, the people cried out, "They are bringing the ark of the God of Israel to us to destroy us and our people." So they sent messengers to gather all the Philistine rulers together and said, "Send the ark of the God of Israel back to where it belongs. Let it not kill us and our people." There was a deadly destruction throughout the city. The hand of God was very heavy there. Those who didn't die were struck with tumors, and the cries of the city rose to heaven. 1 Samuel chapter 6, verses 1 to 21. The ark of the Lord remained in Philistine territory for 7 months. The Philistines called for their priests and fortune-tellers and said, "What should we do with the ark of the Lord? Tell us how to send it back where it belongs." They answered, "If you send the ark of the God of Israel away, don't send it empty. Send a guilt offering with it. Then you will be healed and you will know why his hand hasn't been removed from you." They asked, "What is the guilt offering we should send to him?" The priests replied, "Make 5 gold models of the tumors and 5 gold models of the rats that are destroying your land. This is for all of you and your rulers, because the same plague is on everyone. So you should make gold models of your tumors and gold models of the rats that are destroying your land. Give glory to the God of Israel. Perhaps he will remove his hand from you, from your gods, and from your land. Why are you stubborn like the Egyptians and Pharaoh were? When God severely punished them, didn't they let the Israelites go and leave them alone? So now make a new cart and hitch 2 cows that have never been yoked to it. Take their calves away and keep them at home. Then put the ark of the Lord on the cart, and place the gold models of your tumors and rats in a box beside it. Send it on its way and let it go. Then watch to see what happens. If the cows go straight up the road to Beit Shemesh, then it's clear that God has done this great evil to us. But if they don't, then we'll know it wasn't God's hand that struck us, it was just bad luck." So they did as instructed. They hitched 2 cows that had never been yoked to a new cart and took their calves away and kept them at home. They put the ark of the Lord on the cart, along with the gold models of the tumors and rats. The cows went straight up the road to Beit Shemesh, mooing as they went, and didn't turn to the right or left. The Philistine rulers followed them to the border of Beit Shemesh. The people of Beit Shemesh were reaping their wheat harvest in the valley when they looked up and saw the ark. They were happy to see it. The cart came to the field of Joshua, a man from Beit Shemesh, where it stopped beside a large stone. They chopped up the cart and offered the cows as a burnt offering to the Lord. The Levites took down the ark of the Lord and the box containing the gold models and placed them on the large stone. The people of Beit Shemesh offered burnt offerings and sacrifices to the Lord that day. The Levites took down the ark of the Lord and the box containing the gold models and placed them on the large stone. The people of Beit Shemesh offered burnt offerings and sacrifices to the Lord that day. The 5 Philistine rulers saw what had happened and returned to Ekron the same day. These were the gold models of the tumors that the Philistines sent as a guilt offering to the Lord. 1 for Ashdod, 1 for Gaza, 1 for Ashkelon, 1 for Gath, and 1 for Ekron. The gold rats were for all the Philistine cities, including both the walled cities and the villages. The large stone on which the ark of the Lord was placed is still in Joshua's field in Beit Shemesh today. But God struck the people of Beit Shemesh because they looked inside the ark of the Lord. He killed 50,070 men, and the people mourned because the Lord had struck them with such a great slaughter. The people of Beit Shemesh said, "Who can stand before this holy God of the Lord? And who can bring him up from us?" So they sent messengers to the people of Kiriath-Jearim and said, "The Philistines have brought back the ark of the Lord. Come down and take it up to your town." 1 Samuel chapter 7, verses 1 to 17. So the people of Kiriath-Jearim came and took the ark of the Lord. They brought it to the house of Abinadab on the hill and consecrated his son Eleazar to guard the ark of the Lord. The ark remained in Kiriath-Jearim for a long time, 20 years in all. During all that time, everyone in Israel longed for the Lord to return to them. Then Samuel said to all the people of Israel, "If you are truly returning to the Lord with all your hearts, then get rid of the foreign gods and the images of Ashtoreth among you. Commit yourselves to the Lord alone and serve only him. Then he will rescue you from the Philistines." So the people of Israel got rid of the Baals and the images of Ashtoreth and served only the Lord. Then Samuel said, "Bring all Israel to Mizpah, and I will pray to the Lord for you." So they gathered at Mizpah, where they drew water and poured it out before the Lord. They fasted that day and confessed, "We have sinned against the Lord." Samuel judged the people of Israel at Mizpah. When the Philistine rulers heard that the Israelites had gathered at Mizpah, they attacked them. The Israelites were terrified when they heard about the approaching Philistine army. The people of Israel said to Samuel, "Don't stop crying out to the Lord our God for us. Ask him to save us from the Philistines." So Samuel took a young lamb and offered it as a burnt offering to the Lord. Then he cried out to the Lord for Israel, and the Lord answered him. Just as Samuel was offering the burnt offering, the Philistines came to attack Israel. But the Lord thundered with a loud thunderclap that day, throwing the Philistines into confusion and defeating them before Israel. The Israelites came out of Mizpah and pursued the Philistines, chasing them all the way to a place below Beit-Kar. Then Samuel took a stone and placed it between Mizpah and Shen. He named it Ebenezer, saying, "The Lord has helped us up to this point." So the Philistines were subdued, and they never again invaded Israelite territory. The hand of the Lord was against the Philistines throughout the rest of Samuel's life. The Philistine cities that they had taken from Israel were restored to Israel, from Ekron to Gath, and the Israelites delivered their territory from Philistine control. There was peace between Israel and the Amorites. Samuel judged the people of Israel all the days of his life. He traveled from year to year, going to Bethel, Gilgal, and Mizpah, judging Israel in all these places. But he always returned to his home in Ramah. There he judged Israel, and he built an altar to the Lord. 1 Samuel chapter 8, verses 1 to 22. When Samuel grew old, he appointed his sons as judges over Israel. His oldest son was Joel, and his next oldest was Abijah. They were judges in Beersheba, but his sons did not follow his example. They turned away from God and were dishonest. They accepted bribes and perverted justice. So all the leaders of Israel met together and went to see Samuel at Ramah. They said to him, "Look, you are old, and your sons do not follow your ways. Now appoint a king to judge us just like all the other nations have." Samuel was displeased when they asked for a king, so he prayed to the Lord about it. The Lord said to Samuel, "Listen to the people and give them what they ask for. They are not rejecting you, they are rejecting me as their king. It's just as they have ever since I brought them out of Egypt. They have continually forsaken me to serve other gods. Now they are doing the same thing to you. So now, listen to them, but warn them solemnly about what the king who will rule over them will do." Samuel told the people everything the Lord had said about the king they wanted. He said, "Here's what the king who will rule over you will do. He will take your sons and make them serve in his army and as his chariot drivers. Some will run ahead of his chariots. He will appoint commanders over thousands and commanders over 50s. He will make some of your people plow his fields and harvest his crops. Others will make his weapons of war and the equipment for his chariots. He will take your daughters to be perfumers, cooks, and bakers. He will take the best of your fields, your vineyards, and your olive groves and give them to his servants. He will take 1/10 of your grain and your grape harvest and give it to his officers and attendants. He will take your male and female servants, your finest young men and your donkeys, and make them work for him. He will take 1/10 of your flocks, and you yourselves will become his slaves. When that day comes, you will cry out because of the king you yourselves have chosen, but the Lord will not answer you then." Nevertheless, the people refused to listen to Samuel. "No," they said, "we want a king over us. We want to be like all the other nations. We want a king to judge us and to lead our armies into battle." Samuel repeated all the people's words to the Lord. The Lord replied to Samuel, "Listen to them and give them a king." Then Samuel said to the people of Israel, "Go back to your homes."